So James is having a couple different sauerkraut burgers. I'm having a salad, and you can see on his burgers there's fenugreek, and here's some fenugreek here. So
those burgers are, the sauerkraut's not added. They're veggie burgers. Right?
Yeah, you're having veggie burgers today. So we're going to talk about Song Sung Blue, which that was a very surprising movie, because not only does it star Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, but it's about Neil Diamond. So, well, sort of. So, Super Kraut burgers, Triple B veggie burgers. This is really what inspired me to make the burgers that I did today. And James' smoothie, well, that's just a regular kind of smoothie recipe. So, you know that I really like this because I put Columbo underneath it. Yeah. And I love Columbo.
Me too.
So,
but I'd rate it that way as well.
Yeah. So I'll show you my outfit for today. And this is one that I love wearing hiking. It's a perfect hiking dress. And yeah, today I've worn it over top of my pants. And I would when hiking. And see, what I do is I wear the pants underneath my hiking dresses, and then the pants go in the backpack once the weather warms up. And then I put the sunscreen on. So that works out well for me. But anyway, I don't know which burger James will prefer, because I did two different things. I don't know if I'll need this jacket. I brought it out, but it's quite warm. So I made him one burger. They're exactly the same, except one, it was a bit mushier, and so I added some more stuff to dry it out, right? But
yeah, that's far preferable. She knows my taste.
Yeah. But they both held together well enough to fry them and whatever. I just thought, oh, he'll like this one. So anyway, and the other difference is one of the burgers has, what do you call it? Firefly kimchi recipe from there. And the other one has the ruby red kraut, you can see. And you can see that I love the ruby red kraut. I've been it's my regular salad. Only today I have fenugreek in it as well, because fenugreek was, or methi if you're from India and you're like, oh, stop saying fenugreek because we say whatever, you know what, same deal. Anyway, but it's a good thing for if you have diabetes. It's good to eat fenugreek.
Interesting.
Yep, it's a very good herb to get to add to your diet, and you can put it on just about anything. You can see I put it on the burgers, and James is gonna like it. I don't know if I've put it on burgers for him before, but he'll like it. I put it in salad, I'll like it. And anyway.
Speaking of I like both the burgers. So.
Okay, good.
One thing I don't think you mentioned is, you asked me if we should put hemp seeds in it, and I thought, yeah, it's great.
I put them in, yeah.
So I was just saying it's great. It's a nice, different texture.
Good.
It doesn't really taste like burgers, like real burgers. So much the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's kind of got the texture of it. I don't like that meaty taste. And, particularly since taking stem cell therapy, so the meat is
when you put them together to eat them, this one goes with this one, and this one goes with this one, because this is kraut here, there, kraut there, kraut. I just put the ruby red kraut on top on that one because it's so pretty, and I mean you can see with the other one the tomatoes and the.
No, I'm not flapping them together because I've got a little trouble swallowing my esophagus, so I've got to kind of chew really carefully and so on and so forth.
All right. So, yeah, I mentioned that this is sort of about Neil Diamond. Well, it's not really. I mean, Neil Diamond isn't in this at all.
Yeah, I was wondering how they're going to fit him in.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
But his music is.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched the special features or anything like this on here, so I really couldn't tell you if that's really Kate Hudson singing. But it looks like she's singing,
Yeah.
so if it isn't, she's doing a great job acting. And it's definitely Hugh Jackman singing. And he's doing a great job. But Kate Hudson, holy moly! Why
Her
wasn't
voice
she
is,
a rock star with pipes like that? Beautiful, and what a voice, so great.
Good actor too. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
Speaking of good acting, I didn't know Hugh Jackman was capable of. This is the best I've ever
yeah,
seen.
for sure.
And the thing is, I can see. I'm not overly surprised because I've seen this development in his acting. You know, it used to be kind of relied on the Wolverine kind of makeup and stuff like that, hair and
So-
claws and adamantine claws, all that sort of stuff.
So it says it's based on an incredible true story. And
It is incredible.
it is an incredible story.
Yeah.
And this, like, even just, I was just listening to it for the longest time while James was watching it, and I thought, wow, it sounds good and everything. And I went in, and I should say that it's over 2 hours long, 2 hours 12 minutes. Doesn't feel like it. It's so
I was surprised
good.
when Pauline mentioned how
And
long it was.
James was even so into it, he was listening to, he didn't want me to turn off the credits are rolling.
Damn.
Because he was into listening to the music.
Until they replayed Forever in Blue Jeans, and then I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never liked that song that much. I think that's one of his
way too
later
hot.
songs, Neil Diamond's song. I gotta say, speaking of Neil Diamond and Hugh Jackman, he kind of got the timbre of Neil Diamond's voice. Neil Diamond didn't have the greatest voice, not the worst. He had a fair amount of range and more power than Hugh Jackman's got, but he's not playing Neil Diamond there. He's playing an impersonator.
Exactly.
He does a great job. Love the big shirts they had with the big collars, bright shirts, 70s type of shirts. Hugh Jackman looked like $1 million. Not his face necessarily.
But yeah, if you're not a fan of Neil Diamond, which I'm not, it doesn't matter. If you're not a fan of Neil Diamond's music, this might even make you like it more, because you can feel how important it is to this couple, right? It's a part of their relationship, and their relationship is so wonderful. This is like
Because they were
the
having
best romance story ever told. It's so beautiful. It's right up there with The Princess Bride.
They were having trouble when they met. I mean,
With
he
the
was a
Princess
recovered
Bride.
alcoholic. What was it? 20 years dry, but still.
Yeah.
And she had 2 kids, I think. He had 1 kid. They were kind of in trouble. Now, spoiler alert. This is a big spoiler alert. You'll realize you knew what was going to happen for the ending, right?
I didn't know exactly what would happen.
I
I was
I just didn't think
amazed
it would
that,
happen so quickly, but
yeah. But it's such a beautiful story. Everyone should watch this. Everyone. It's so great. So Columbo, 2nd season. I don't know. I have a hard time deciding. Is it better, worse? I think maybe not quite as good as the 1st season was. What did you think?
well, they had some big stars first season, you know. Or
Yeah, well,
whatever.
there's big stars in the 2nd too. I mean, anyway,
The thing
I
is,
think Martin Sheen was one of them.
very impressive.
Yeah.
I really can't make much distinction. I'm not saying
Yeah.
his character doesn't develop that much, but he hammers it every time.
Yep.
You're sitting there pulling for this little guy who's a lot smarter than people think he is.
And they do work. They develop his character better as it goes along. Like at the beginning, his hair was styled nicely
A
and
little
stuff.
bit better.
Yeah. And then they messed it up. So, which is great. That's how he should be. you know.
I
So-
messed it up in a slightly different way every time.
Yeah. Oh,
Same thing
Leonard
with this.
Nimoy, yeah, he was in this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
that's
see that one, but
yeah. Well, he
I
was
love
in that.
watching that one.
So there you go.
Mhm.
So there were some stars in.
Mhm.
Anyway, but yeah, the first season, the first episode, I was like, oh, he's got to get these criminals off the street because they're just too stupid, right? Because that one, I mean, they had, the man had planned out the crime pretty well, but then James is like, wow, going through customs with that stuff, he's taking some chances.
Yeah.
And then when Columbo's asking the guy, well, your suitcases were this many pounds overweight when you went to Mexico.
14 pounds.
And James was like, what would you say is in the suitcase? And I was like, bottles of water.
Yeah,
Do you
Pauline
trust
figured
the
it right
water
away.
in Mexico?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's an easy way to explain.
Anything like that.
Yeah.
Pauline figured that out like right away. Of course, it would be
Anyway.
all used
So
up
it
in
was
a way.
such a disappointment when the guy, when he gave his answer, I'm like, oh boy.
No.
Because that's so easy and it's so obvious. Anyone going to Mexico is like, oh, concerned about the water, right? Bring bottled water. Anyway, so I don't really have much more to say about this. Do you want to talk about it?
I'll talk about this a little
Okay.
bit more.
Then I'll eat.
Yeah. I never bought a Neil Diamond album in my life. I might have bought one or two as when the comic book store was getting out of selling secondhand records. It wasn't working out for them. I think the whole store went kaput. So I might have bought like hundreds of records for like $20 or something like that. There might have been a Neil Diamond in there, but I wouldn't have been buying for a Neil Diamond album. So I did like Neil Diamond stuff back in the day. I don't know what happened. It was around the time that, I don't like Song Sung Blue. I think it was about 71 when that came out. And pretty well everything he's put out since. I hope he's still alive, still putting stuff out. But it's been over 50 years. I haven't really cared for. So You Don't Bring Me Flowers and all that sort of stuff. He did that, I think, with Barbara Streisand and so on and so forth. I think he wrote it. So on and so forth. But I like almost everything that he did before then. And but just not enough to buy an album. So I was going, wow, that's a real earworm. That's a real earworm. I liked his stuff before I even knew he existed. Pauline doesn't like I'm a Believer. I liked it when I was a kid, and I still kind of respect it now. It kind of follows, the music kind of follows the arc of the thought of the lyric. The lyric's not that profound or anything like that. But, like...
I didn't know it was his song.
Like I say, he was just a staff writer at Brill Building, I think. And this one particular song was used on the Monkees' second album, I think. It's their biggest hit, I think, of all time. And that's not an inconsiderable feat because they had quite a few hits. One of their next hits was written by him as well. It's a little bit me, it's a little bit you. Again, I didn't know who Neil Diamond was. I was so young. I think I was 12 years old when that stuff came out, so I wasn't keeping track of who was writing the songs or whatever. Now, they weren't the best songs that the Monkees were doing, but better than Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. They wrote a lot of songs for the early Monkees. And as one rock and roll critic said, hey, let's face it, these Monkees albums are a lot better than they've been given credit for. They actually had, if I'm not mistaken, the Wrecking Crew or some version of it playing on it, so those would be some of the best studio musicians in the world. And some of their songs were way more significant or something like that than you'd otherwise think. take the last train to Clarksville and then meet you at the station. Well, what's Clarksville? I didn't realize it until I was someone was saying, well, that's about some guy who's getting ready to go to Vietnam. That was very topical at that point in time. And if you look at it, there are several Clarksvilles. There's not Clarksdale, the place where one blues singer came from. I said Mississippi. Clarksville, the big one, or the one that applies here, I think it's the biggest one in the United States, is in the northern part of Tennessee. And there's a big, big army base there. So a guy would be going to Clarksville, or right next to Clarksville, and then the next stop would be this army place where we'd be training to go to Vietnam. So we'd be doing basic training or whatever. So, you know, they're doing a kind of a background thing that sounds like a train whistle, or kind of going off, a Doppler effect, wise into the distance. It kind of means more than just a regular departure, because dude might not be coming back, that sort of stuff. So that's on their first album. They actually had some reasonably good material on their first album. The best things they ever did were written by Goffin and King. So that's Jerry Goffin and his then wife Carole King. She later on, she later went on after they parted ways to having a very successful solo career. For a while, she had the best-selling album of all time, up until maybe Michael Jackson. That would be Tapestry from around 1971. But a couple of their songs are classic. Goffin and King songs done by the Monkees. Pleasant Valley Sunday. It actually rocks out amazingly enough. But that's the Wrecking Crew, and you know, they weren't the greatest vocalists, but what the Monkees. And off their first album, Take a Giant Step Outside Your Mind. It's an awesome song. Those two songs are close to the best two songs Goffin and King ever turned out. The trouble with Carole King's solo career is she persisted in doing her own lyrics, and she didn't do that when she was working with Jerry Goffin. He wrote the lyrics. I don't know if he contributed much to the music, but she had a real good ear for turning out earworms, and they're not annoying earworms. Some might find them annoying, like Pauline doesn't like Locomotion, so they wrote Locomotion for Little Eva. That was a huge hit, and it's the only hit for Little Eva, unfortunately. I think she did a great job on that. But later on, you know, in the mid-'60s, like she was saying, I was kind of like the hippie generation. They were very young when they were turning out these songs in the early 60s. They'd been married young, and they were precocious, what can I say? So when they were writing the mid-'60s, you know, the Byrds covered a couple of the last album by the real Byrds, as far as I'm concerned, featured a couple of songs by Goffin and King. They're not the greatest, but they're not the worst. I wouldn't have voted for them. David Crosby apparently felt strong enough about it so that he basically got obnoxious enough for them to punt him out of the group. Of course, David Crosby and being obnoxious kind of went together. So that's why I say obnoxious enough. He'd be obnoxious all the time. Even when he's strong, he's supposed to not be obnoxious. Anyway, so they actually, the thing I was going to point out, and I'm pointing it out in quite a roundabout way, is they did very few of Neil Diamond's songs from after about 71. Their Song Sung Blue, I think that was 71. Forever in Blue Jeans, which I can't stand. I think that was his attempt to take advantage of the nostalgia wave that seemed to wash over much of the early to middle 70s. Nostalgia for rock and roll, whatever, Forever in Blue Jeans. But yeah, listen to some of that stuff, and Neil Diamond was actually playing around a lot with dynamics. So what are dynamics? Dynamics is a technical musical term for changes in volume. So they keep on talking about Sweet Caroline. Now I think it starts off. I think it's off with "'Twas in the Spring," but maybe it was in the spring. But it's really soft, and then of course it builds up to the big thing, "Sweet Carol," and they got the audience, ba ba ba. They're actually singing that. Like, is it a horn part? I'm not sure what it is, but and then you get "Good times never seem so good. Look at the night, nice and soft." Now this is something that the Rolling Stones, for much of their career, didn't understand. You know, their idea of dynamics is tended to be like, here's 100 decibels, and we're going to end up at 110 decibels. And yeah, it's one thing that a smarter person in music, with an ear for music, a feel for music, is going to play around with. Now the Rolling Stones did it later on, so you'll listen to "She's a Rainbow," and it's got tinkling Mozart, I think, probably compliments of Nicky Hopkins. Speaking of studio musicians, one of my favorite. He played pretty well anything. But then they, they get to the chorus and they're blaring it out. It's not one of my favorites of the Rolling Stones songs because there's very few lyrics, actually. And maybe that's an advantage, I'm not sure. But
I have this hemp seed in my mouth.
Yeah.
Stuck in my teeth. It's terrible.
Just got to get used to it. The Rolling Stones, one of the better ones is "Gimme Shelter." Now, I can remember saying to a music professor, he was at the University of Lethbridge, I was saying, well, the Rolling Stones, let's face it, they basically, didn't have a lot of chords and weren't very sophisticated. And here's what he said. I said, I kind of "There's always gimme shelter." And all I said was, "Yep." When I say "yep," there's no need to say anything more. But if you listen to "Gimme Shelter," it just starts softly, softly. Apparently it was written, at least initially, during the build-up to a thunderstorm. I'm going, in England, a thunderstorm? It's Keith Richards who put it together. And it's like a build-up to a huge thunderstorm. Now, the big trouble is, once they hit that 100 decibels or 100 plus decibels, it doesn't go much of it anywhere until it's not that you get the music break, which is really annoying harp or harmonica music from Mick Jagger, because it's like a toothache. It just keeps on pounding away or grinding away at you, the harp. And then there's a little bit of really good lead guitar. It's very simple, but very effective from Keith Richards. And then all of a sudden, Mary Clayton, holy freaking smokes, she comes in and sings the chorus line. And it's not really, it just takes you, if you're at all into it, into the clouds or something like that. It's incredible. So they played around with dynamics a little bit later on, but not the way it should or could be done. If you listen to Day in the Life by the Beatles, you're listening to dynamics, folks, because it starts just like, I guess it sounds like a folk song. I read the news today. Oh, and eventually, like in the second verse, I think they start bringing grand piano, but it's fairly soft and laid back. But it builds to two huge instrumental climaxes where Paul McCartney gave instructions to these are orchestral musicians. He said, you start at your lowest note and work up. I don't care how you do it. Each one of you tracks out your own chorus. Go to your highest note.
But
and it's very effective.
One thing that James said about this is that these guys, I don't know if the original, like the people that the characters were based on were this good, but James thought this is better than watching just Neil Diamond alone, because with her,
the thing is, they've worked out. Well, they're actually singing harmony parts. Now, Neil would have some harmony parts in there. Oftentimes, they're singing together, the same thing. hugely stronger because she's got the strong voice. It's dragging him along and stuff like that. And did a great job. It's they improved in many ways on the original Neil Diamond things, but they picked some of the more interesting things. Yeah, they did Sweet Caroline maybe a couple of times, maybe 3 times, but or parts of it. But Suleiman, I never liked that much, but Neil Diamond was playing around with dynamics of different parts being put together and stuff like that. And I don't know why he gave up on the I guess the music got kind of, well, with the rock and roll revival, it just became, like we're going back to the basics and we're going to stay there. Yeah, well, you can go there, but I'm not going there. I'm sorry. And it was the same way with the lyrics. We're going back to the basics. Yeah, well, I never was a 50s rock and roll fan. I was in Africa when that was hitting. No, I kind of liked rock and roll when I hit Canada in 1964. I kind of like Elvis Presley when we were in Canada from 59 to 63. But what did I like? I liked German Oompa kind of song, Wooden Heart. That's not rock and roll. So I'm not a big rock and roll fan. I'm not in. There's stuff I like. I listen to the 50s. I like That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly. Not that I like that one, but they actually had Oh Boy, which is a better song than That'll Be the Day. They had a guy doing it at the beginning of this, and but I like that. It's actually 12-bar blues, rhythm and blues. The first 2 verses, and then all of a sudden comes the bridge, and that's what makes a song more sophisticated and stuff like that. I like Sam Cooke, but he actually could turn out a lyric and stuff like that. I like Chuck Berry. I feel almost the same way that Keith Richards felt when he said, I don't care who you are, you'll never be more important than Chuck Berry. Now that just applies to music as far as I'm concerned, but Chuck Berry could chuck a lyric in there. He wasn't actually that good a guitar player, he wasn't that good a composer. 5 minutes?
A couple
of minutes. So, the thing that got me really interested in music, I liked the Dave Clark vibe. I hated the Beatles. I couldn't stand the hysteria, all that sort of stuff that was going down.
Maybe it's cold enough now.
But I didn't start liking the Beatles until I heard And Your Bird Can Sing off of the Revolver album. That's 1966. And it's maybe the latter part of 1966. And then I knew the route I wanted to follow, which was rock and roll getting better. Like people actually growing up, like the Beatles grew up. They grew up musically, they grew up lyrically. That's what I wanted to follow. And you know what, folks? Things fell off a cliff. I thought it would go to the stars. Here's the Beatles. And then after them, Kerplunk. There you go. So, did I get old? No, the music got old. I'm still, you've seen it with me. I keep on going for the stars. I've taken language after language at university. I'm going for the stars. Why would I plunk down with people like Neil Diamond or whatever? He was actually maybe going for the stars. And didn't work out for him. Well, I'm not going to get stuck in the nostalgia run. So I got to say, almost every one of the singles, either that he wrote or wrote for someone else, up until about 71, Song Sung Blue might have been the one, I was going, I like that. I can remember they played Holly Holy. Had you ever even heard that song before? Maybe you had. I can remember
I didn't know they were his songs.
On my little red radio. And he's actually played